Hello, how are you? Actually, Japan has a big holiday in May called the Golden Week in the beginning of the month. So I was traveling to Karuizawa in Nagano Prefecture. And I also went to visit a temple called Zenkoji, located around 30-40 minutes away from there by Shinkansen bullet train. Actually, I was so tired, so exhausted on the day I was going to the temple that I was not sure whether I should stop going and stay at the hotel to relax. But all in all, I'm really glad I went to the temple. Why did I think I didn't want to go at the time? One thing I realized through this kind of emotion and feeling is that turning points in life pass by like this. In other words, it seems as if they are both right choice. If I don't want to go, then this is also okay. At the first glance, the choice also appears to be the right one. However, it is a mistake. Big mistake. So if I chose to stay in the hotel, it's more like an energy of justification. And this is exactly the choice that brings us closer to Ghosas and Kensas energy, the worst energy from the earth. If you have no idea what I'm talking, then please have a look at the video, the first one and the second one. Actually, the first one is this one, and the second one is this one. Sorry. I have seen many people over the years and have wondered what the critical difference is between those who eventually synchronize with Ghosas and Kensas direction and those who don't. In other words, those who deviate from their destiny to a great extent and those who don't. Of course, it could be said that they become that way as a result of bad character, twisted guts, doing something mean or harmful to people, or other such characteristics that stand out. It is also true, but not all of them are like that from the start. Thus, they seem to be valid reasons, but they are not. That is not the main deciding factor. This is not the source. So, who are those who synchronize with Ghosas and Kensas energy, the worst energy from the earth? In other words, who are those who deviate greatly from their destiny? I go to some conclusion here. The people who chose justification at the turning points in their lives. This would be the definition, I guess. I thought it might be difficult to understand today's video without this perspective, so I will mention it first. I'll talk more about the trip itself in another video some other time. Today I'd like to talk about how to find the best place to work for you, as I talked about in the last video, because some people seem to be having a very hard time finding work at the moment. I caught that kind of energy. Actually, as of last month, I was wondering how. I had no intention of talking about Jonny Depp. However, I decided to look into their prophecy since YouTube video of their trials have been popping up so frequently. Then I discovered an extremely interesting fact. Therefore, I'll use this as an opportunity to talk about how to find a company, an environment, and a partner, husband, wife, that you can demonstrate your ability by nature. I believe this will be of some help to those who are having trouble finding a good job or a partner or whatever. This will be a very deep video. Okay, so first, as I have told you many times, my purpose with my YouTube is to get rid of the worst at the beginning. So if we do that, we can generally get anything to work. So if the worst is removed and things go wrong in the process, it is simply because the person lacks the ability, capability, experience, and wisdom. And that is something person can work on. For example, when I was in high school, no matter how many times I tried to make a sponge cake, it never puffed up. And I thought, why won't it puff up? Only the ingredients end up wasted. So I stopped making after that. When I entered the university, I was in the science department and found myself in an environment where I had to mix reagents A or B or C in test tubes in 60 minutes quantities every day to conduct experiments. Then one day, on vacation, I suddenly decided, let's make a cake. And when I tried to make it, to my surprise, it puffed up perfectly in just one try. So, yeah, I no longer know why it didn't work when I was in high school. This is what people call growth. This clearly proves that I am responsible and that it didn't work out due to my own lack of ability. Therefore, if people are in this kind of situation, then the only thing I could tell is, please, you have to deal with these things on your own. There is no other way to say it. The reason why I'm telling you this is that most people's problem is this cake not puffing up situation. There are so many people who have been stuck in this state for decades without making the right effort at the right time. This is called the state in which destiny is not in operation or in which destiny is out of alignment. There is nothing we can do about this kind of situation in the yin and five elements. So I'd like to draw a clear line between what can and cannot be done by this. Also, the main purpose of life is to expand the cake on its own, right? Through the acquisition of diversity of various encounters and partings. Isn't this the greatest pleasure of life? Wow, the cake is expanded finally. Huh? The greatest pleasure in life is a process that you have to figure out on your own, and you cannot manipulate the outcome to make the cake swell up by having other people's intervene. However, if you have the ability to expand the cake, or if you are trying your best to expand the cake somehow, and you are not able to demonstrate your ability no matter how hard you try, then in this case you have to know that there is a worst case environment in which you cannot show your ability no matter how hard you try. So it is important in a sense to identify and avoid it and at the beginning in life where time is limited. So please keep in mind that what I have been saying on YouTube and will continue to say here can only be used by those who can expand their cake by themselves or are trying their best to do so. As I said in one of my videos, I aim to help people who are in a situation where they have a lot of ability and competence, but for some reason are not appreciated or don't get along with others. Thus, if you say like, for some reason the cake doesn't puff up, I think this is a misfortune. Can you do something about this disaster? Then I just say goodbye. Okay? So, but actually, how the society is like this? That is why there are still so many people who are hooked on and intoxicated by strange religious groups, or who spend a lot of money on honey spiritual counselors and who cling to false wisdom. They are becoming more and more corrupt. Also, there are too many honey bastards who are making money off the immature people who cannot puff up their own cake. So these people will also be wiped out this year. I mentioned that this is the year that the 5-star will come to the center. So this is the year that the corrupt things will decay and return to the earth. Also the year that the gold buried in the earth will come out to the world. In other words, it is the time of the people like you who are watching my YouTube. Okay then, let me move on to the theme. One of the mega banks in Japan is Mizuho Bank. Have you ever heard? This bank is very infamous for the fact that the new employees quit immediately. I have heard that more than half of them quit within 3 to 6 months. This is also why they are famous for hiring too many new employees. It is not because they have good people, but because they are going to quit anyway, which is crazy. One of the reasons for this can be attributed to the energy of repulsion of this company. It is difficult for a recent college graduate who does not have the energy to repulse to show his her ability in this company. It is possible, however, if certain conditions are met. Moreover, this company always has a phenomenal breakdowns when the energy of the tiger arrives. Incidentally, in February of this year, a system failure also occurred, causing problems. So this means that this company's destiny is not up and running. A company with a negative repulsive energy is the most important condition to avoid. So the main definition today will be expressed like this. I made 4 categories. The first, the case you have repulsive energy. Then work in a company or environment with repulsive energy, where its destiny is in operation. Second, the case you have no repulsive energy. You work in a company or environment without repulsive energy, where destiny is in operation. Third, the case you with repulsive energy, work in a company without repulsive energy, Then contract with the energy of affinity and strive to make the most of your destiny. And lastly, the case you without repulsive energy work in a company with repulsive energy. Then contracts when the repulsive energy turns in the environment. These are all put on how to let your life in operation. And I think the top two fit best. I'm not saying the top two conditions are the right answer. I'm just saying it's natural. It's not suffocating. The bottom two would be interpreted as okay if the person is very capable or competent, or if the environment is right for the person. If a person is living a normal life and has a connection with a person or an environment that meets these bottom two conditions, it must be some kind of destiny which she has to overcome. So if you try to avoid, your life cannot be in operation. In other words, it is very difficult to handle the bottom two situations. It is better to interpret them as circumstances that can be overcome with all the knowledge, ability, experience, and wisdom one has lived up to now. I'm using company here now, but the story is also valid for husband or wife or partners also. For example, you can convert like this, the case you have repulsive energy, then marry a person with repulsive energy whose destiny is in operation. Like this. It is not only about the business, but all of life, okay? For example, this is the prophecy of some president of some company. I express this person as a President A here. But this person does not have the energy of repulsion in his prophecy, right? However, he was appointed as the president of a company that has the energy of repulsion. So, well, it's okay. This is what I felt at first, to be honest. But it was okay because he was inaugurated as the president of this company when his diamond big currency of decades was in Tenkokuchi with his middle energy. In other words, he usually does not have a repulsive energy by nature, and if he assumes the presidency of this company in the state, it would not go well. But the arrival of this zodiac sign, his big 10-year flow, created a repulsive energy in his prophecy. Thus, he became armed. He became armed, you know what I mean, with enough armor named Tenkokuchi. This jacket is Tenkokuchi, what it's called, to handle this company. It worked out well because he started out as president at the time. This is the most important point to recognize this person's value. There was a repulsive energy in the environment, and because he became president of a company with repulsive energy at that time, he was able to serve as president for 5 years. Actually, more than 5 years. This is the interpretation. So this means that the President A has the support of the universe. In other words, he is destined to use his ability to contribute in this company, so he's fulfilling his destiny. Working for a repulsive energy company at a time when there is a repulsive energy in the environment proves that this person's way of life has been wonderful up to now. Moreover, since this person is highly competent, it would mean please make the most of your ability in a completely different environment than the one you were in before, because it is a new start with repulsive energy. In other words, he is moving himself into an environment where he cannot use the ability he had before. After this 10-year period in which Tenkokuchi turns is a time of great distraction for some people, though it totally depends on how the person lives so far. Also, basically, if people try to build a house or start something new in this 10-year period, disaster will occur, like I explained with the worst examples of some old men who purchased a defective apartment in this video. Therefore, the fact that by just luck and fate, this President A is able to be associated with a company that has such a repulsive energy and is able to digest his own repulsive energy by working there, you can say that this person is accumulating virtue in his life. There is one word for wonderful, I think. So it is possible to prove what kind of person she is by looking at the CV in this way. Also, Clariant, which I mentioned the other day, this company has the energy of repulsive energy. And the head of the company, Mr. Harriolf Kottmann, also has the energy of repulsive energy. So it is very compatible with each other. he has the power to transform this company into a yang, yin-yang, yang, you know what I mean? In fact, in relation to the repulsive energy, Clariant has the zodiac sign of Tedros in the prophecy, and he himself also has energy, making the compatibility perfect. This is called a balanced relationship. In other words, it is a relationship where the person can be together until death. It may be easier to see it as a partnership rather than a company. This is also the kind of relationship that will lead the person to marry. However, since Mr. Kottmann has Tenkokuchi, heavenly and earthly sign are repulsive, the usage of this energy to stay in one place for a long time is seen as unnatural in nature. So if the person with this repulsive energy stays in one place all the time, then this person will experience crazy phenomena, although it is compatible with the company itself. It's kind of destructive phenomena. Therefore, he acts in a way that deviates from the company's mission statement on the timing when his own central energy makes Tenkokuchi with the energy of Dion, big decade flow, by trying to merge with an American company Huntsman, which is an action that deviates from the company's destiny. As I explained about Ukraine in the previous video, when there is repulsive energy, then got no choice but to operate alone. That is the destiny. So yeah, if you don't understand, please watch the previous one. That is how I interpret it. However, he and the Clariant have the best relationship in terms of chemistry of ability like this. This is very great. I use this company and Mr. Kottmann as an example because I have never seen such a melting pot of chemistry. So he proves that this kind of compatibility is important if person wants to make more money than others or than usual. On the other hand, WHO so hot. WHO is also an organization of Tenkokuchi, which has a repulsive energy. Therefore, we can read that when a person with the energy of Tenkokuchi assumes the top position, the destiny can operate greatly and contribute to the world like Clariant. Since Mr. Tedros with no repulsive energy assumes the top position in a situation where he does not have repulsive energy and where the repulsive energy does not turn to the environment. So this is not a balanced relationship like the one between Clariant and Mr. Kottmann and like present day I mentioned earlier. So summary, Mr. Tedros, he was elected as a representative in May 2017 with the affinity of Snake and Rooster and Ricchin, which looks quite good at first glance. However, since he was chosen to represent an organization with Tenkokuchi, and taking into account the example of the first president A and Mr. Kottmann, it can be interpreted that Mr. Tedros himself has steered a great deal in the direction of negative turn in his destiny. It can be interpreted as a major breakdown of destiny because WHO and Tedros are not in balance. In other words, therefore, WHO itself can be interpreted to mean that Mr. Tedros, who cannot operate WHO's prophecy, have been appointed to the top position because WHO's destiny is not operating to contribute to the world. Also, coincidentally, WHO's Tedros period are March year, and Mr. Tedros' Tedros is also the same period. That's why a major in-turn phenomenon occurred in 2020 March year. The fact that the in-shift had already taken place prior to 2020, but it was revealed at the time of Tedros 2020. Okay? WHO and Mr. Tedros were so crazy in 2020, right? Do you remember? It's completely screwed up. People saying, he's an international criminal, you know. The signatures demanding his resignation were also gathered from around the world. So this extraordinary out-of-roof turning in phenomena. It brought a destructive phenomenon to the world. The WHO has created a situation that has led the world into chaos and rather dragged the world down with its misguided views that are totally off the mark from the fact in the year 2020. Essentially, the work that this organization must do in order to continue to exist as WHO and to continue to operate its destiny is to point out what is wrong, to destroy the wrong trends, and to improve it. That is WHO's job. And this is the meaning of this organization has a repulsive energy. This is how to survive and continue to operate its destiny as WHO. So, for example, it would be something like this. So this is also the reason why the 2020 largely broken phenomenon occurred. The wrong country, China, created the wrong trend, and the energy of WHO is destined to point it out, to destroy the wrong trend and to improve it. But it acted out of its destiny to support and defend China. And it caused a great destructive phenomenon in the world. So again, the interpretation is that this man is amazing, I think. What's his name? Mr. Trump. So his decision was right to break off relations with WHO. If person or organization or country, whatever, were to be involved in the negative and repulsive energy which is not in operation, it will collapse. The US would be destroyed. This energy will be destroyed. So that's why I still think he's great. Though everyone is trying to drag him down, but when push comes to shove, he makes the right decision. So this is the most important point, no matter how much he screws around on a daily basis. He does not go crazy on an important decision. This is very important. So, by the way, I don't get any money from Mr. Trump. This kind of person is called the guardian god for America after all. The American people have to think well twice. Otherwise, America will end up with a president who would drop a nuclear bomb on America. Also, here is a hidden reason why it is safe to be involved with Ukraine for America in 2022. I said in this video that the US will become Tenkokuchu in 2022. The US does not have the repulsive energy by nature, and if it engages with Ukraine, which has turned to yin, the US will break down. But in 2022, miraculously, the US has the energy of Tenkokuchu, collapse energy going around. So it can be interpreted that it is safe to get involved with Ukraine in various contraptions. So that would be the same case of the present day. Or this could be read as saying that the US is not broken because America donated the US budget before this collapse phenomenon starts to arise. So it could also be interpreted this way. Anyway, I still feel that America has a lot of luck, more than you guys think. You guys are so blessed. Yeah, you don't know how this is great. It is too good to be true. Basically, Tenkokuchi energy translates as disintegration. However, depending on how it is used, it can be armored, in this way. In other words, if America had been involved in Ukraine without this energy circulating, America would have been broken, like the relationship of Mr. Tedros and the WHO. But the US is not broken because there happens to be a repulsive energy circulating in the environment. So yeah, it's amazing who made America. So as I said in this video, the US has to use this right hand and the left hand well to make the most of its destiny, because it is too good to be true that this prophecy was created by chance. So back to WHO. Why has WHO turned to yin to the point of not being able to take advantage of its destiny? And this is where Bill Gates comes in. Bill Gates and his wife have a foundation and donated a lot of money to WHO. This is one of the reasons for their divorce. I was actually thinking of titling today's video, Why Bill Gates Divorce, or something like that. I'm not sure. May change it in the future. I don't know. It is on hold. I'm not good at making a thumbnail, sorry. Anyway, so I found this by accident. I guess you could say it's like a domino effect in your country, but in Japan it is expressed, it's like imozurushiki, hot potato, because putting one vine can eat several potatoes at the same time. Derived from there, imozurushiki means that one thing triggers the discovery of related people and things one after another. So this is the nuance I want to express the situation. When I read the article about Bill Gates and his wife, the first thing that struck me was the phenomenon of broken people coming into their lives and breaking with them. He was fraternizing with Prince Andrew, the second son of Queen Elizabeth of England, and a wealthy US man convicted of child prostitution and other crimes. Bill's wife testified that this was a major trigger for their divorce, right? So in this way, if this repulsive energy in the prophecy is not in operation properly, broken people will come in and break with them. This fact made me think that this is a negative shifted repulsive energy involved with them, but it is not in their own prophecy, isn't it? So I happened to be looking up WHO on Wikipedia, and that's how I found this list of donations. When I saw this, I get it. I connected all of the dots in my head. From Bill Gates' point of view, WHO was the last organization he should have been involved with. First of all, Bill Gates corresponds to this case. So Bill Gates, who has no repulsive energy by nature, was involved with an organization with repulsive energy. Moreover, it is an organization whose destiny is not in operation, an organization of repulsive energy whose destiny is in negative rotation. They also established the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation in 2000. This is the year of Kanoe Dragon. So this means that they established this foundation at the time when his middle energy makes Tenkoku Chichu and his left side makes repulsive energy. In other words, double repulsive energy exists. This means that they established at the exact time to destroy his household and his private sports. At the same time, Kanoe Dragon energy is Imigami. So this means he established the foundation at the time when negative energy was turning for him. Please listen to this while remembering what I was talking about at the beginning of this video. As I have said many times, new starts must start with affinity and positive energy or they will break down. This means that the universe is pointing that there is a problem with the original motive for establishing this foundation in the first place. Their motives are opposed by the universe as impure. The only thing is that WHO's this energy and Bill Gates' sports energy are in a Tenkoku relationship. This means that his sports will be broken. In other words, getting involved with WHO is predicted to lead to divorce. And making Ricchin and Nacchin energy, wow. Jesus. What the hell is this? And these also simply put help to amplify the bad energy many times over. So WHO and Bill Gates, Ricchin doubles their luck down, and it's out there in the phenomenon. It means that their energy at the point in time is amplified. Because for WHO, the suppose is Tedros, who cannot run the WHO's destiny, right? So it's the same as Bill Gates and Melinda's situation, right? The energy has been amplified, meaning that for Bill Gates and Melinda, it is the energy that accelerates the divorce. And for WHO, it is the energy that accelerates collapse with Tedros. The fact that the two overlap and amplify energy means that the energy is revealed. It may be easier to understand if you imagine meeting your classmate at a reunion party at the age of 60, but there will be those who cannot participate in, because it will obviously bring them to light. They cannot participate because it highlights and visualizes that they are in a life of descent. Or you rise so much above your classmates that you can no longer exist in the same space. Either of them is highlighted. So in the relationship of the Ricchin, it is highlighted that the group of individuals who have risen significantly over the years since their encounter at a certain point cannot exist in the same space because they have deviated so much from the energy of the group. So in other words, there are three possible outcomes in the Ricchin relationship. First, a combination of person A ascending energy and person B descending energy. The person A doubles the ascending energy by meeting person B. And then person B doubles the descending energy by meeting person A. So in other words, person A and person B move away from each other at an accelerated rate. So they cannot be together in the long span. Then second, combination of person A rising energy and person B rising energy. Both A and B rise, so A and B rise together at an accelerated rate. They can be together in long span. And lastly, a combination of person A descending energy and person B descending energy. Descending energy becomes twice as much. So person A and person B descend together in an accelerated rate. So it is possible to stay together. However, as they moving headlong into the same lower vibrational realm, more and more negative energy is growing. Therefore, it can say that it is very dangerous to get involved with these people. By the way, if you don't need to understand this Ricchin Nacchin energy, you just can skip this part of the explanation. It would be not so much big deal for you anyway. But no material exists that successfully explains this energetic relationship, Ricchin relationship, Nacchin relationship. Besides, people will just say like this, but this expression is wrong, so I don't translate this. So I will try to explain them here in a reformative way, because this is such a quite great opportunity which I never expect. So I call it the Kinotomi Revolution, in honor of a series of national political reforms in Japan that began with the Isshōnen, the drastic change incident which started to happen in 645, because this month is Kinotomi, accidentally. In other words, please keep in mind that I am talking here is a tremendous reformative story which nobody can, so you are very lucky. Okay, next is about a Nacchin relationship. This is very difficult to express in one sentence, but I guess this is how I would define it. No problem as long as there is no contradiction in the definition of the first relationship. I think this is not quite clear, so I will explain. To understand this, it would be helpful to understand why energy turns to yin. So I will illustrate this with two examples. Case 1, let's say you work for a company and you have a boss. If there is no contradiction in this relationship, you are fine. In other words, this boss has a real competence as a boss, and therefore he exists as a boss. And you exist as a staff member because you are less competent than your boss. This is the relationship between a supervisor and subordinate. As long as there is no contradiction in this relationship, you can maintain this relationship forever for the same purpose. Again, for the same purpose. If you can maintain a good relationship in this kind of situation for a long time, then perhaps this energy proves that you guys are ideal counterpart. However, if there is a contradiction in that first definition, the phenomenon of falling into yin occurs. As a title, he is the boss, but in reality, you are more capable and competent than he is. If such a contradiction and this energy exists between the two, this kind of phenomenon occurs. My right thumb is your boss, and the left side thumb is you. Case 2. When there are two people exist in one space who become Nacchin, if two people enter the space can continue to exist. This is because it is precisely the action of the S and N poles that work in that space. And between them, there is a great force that attracts people to the surroundings. But if one person leaves the space ceases to exist. In other words, it loses its centripetal force by S and N pole. It will not be able to continue to exist due to the fact that it will no longer attract people, money, or something like that. For example, let's say two people start a company as a joint venture, and then their relationship is like a powerful magnet. And thanks to this energy, the company can continue to exist as a corporation. Therefore, if one of them changes their mind and quit, the space will disappear. In other words, the company will cease to exist. So the relationship between WHO and Bill Gates is an application of these examples. So both case 1 and case 2 are mixed. What I focus on most is the motive, the motivation. That's why I spent a long time talking about it at the beginning of this video. What on earth does Bill Gates want? So in a way, the motive is not established in the first place. In other words, the motive does not exist in the first place as a motive. So I see a full of contradictions through these signs. Donations are for the benefit of others, the benefit for people, the benefit for society. That's the basic premise, right? But in this way, there is no support from the universe at all. Why? Rather, it implies that establishing this foundation and after that start donating to WHO, who has power to destroy his family, and rather, isn't this a warning from the universe, right? Like, stop it! So, what exactly is Bill Gates' goal? For what? What's the motive? That's how I look at all of those energies. The purpose is not a purely humanitarian donation. So I guess we have to see it through. In this way, the universe reveals what kind of person he is with environment energy. Donating to WHO means a major deviation from Bill Gates' destiny. So, as I explained in former videos so many times, people, organizations, and countries that are not able to make use of the energy of repulsion will experience the phenomenon of broken people coming inside and destroying their lives together. That is what happened to the WHO itself, Mr. Tedros, and also the same phenomenon occurred to Mr. Bill Gates and his wife, right? 芋づる式やん and the cosmic flow of enough is also represented through his only son. I really hesitate to mention about this, but all in all, these kind of things are quite important. But people don't realize. That's why wars keep happening, so I decided to mention about it. His son was born with Tenkokuchi energy, and this proves everything. The first thing I feel when I see this prophecy is a forced asset freeze from the universe. These days we quite often hear this word a lot, asset freeze, for rich Russians in the news. This means that when this son takes over what Bill Gates is doing, a collapse will occur. In other words, he cannot succeed Bill Gates to do anything. For example, collapse also occurs when foundations are taken over or inherit Bill Gates' estate. Why? Just simply, don't you think? If person have done good for society and made a fortune, why can't his descendants inherit it? In other words, the universe is telling Bill Gates, please put an end to all this. Actually, they married at a time when the guardian deities were turning around, and this is actually so perfect timing. However, they had a son with the energy of Tenkokuchi, which is not allowed to take place anything regarding to Bill Gates. So he's Bill Gates' son, the only son. This suggests that there is a problem with the initial motivation, even when they got married. In other words, it means that he couldn't answer such a simple question. Do you love her? This suggests that this person, Bill Gates, fundamentally has a problem with the human heart and motives. In other words, the universe is questioning his motives to everything in establishing the foundation or his involvement with WHO or the contradiction of marrying at the right time when the guardian deity turns but having a son with the energy of Tenkokuchi, which is not allowed to take place anything regarding to Bill Gates, though he is Bill Gates' son. It is implied in all its energies which he doing. I think it also can be interpreted that since the WHO is related to Nacchin energy with Bill Gates, so this contradiction has been highlighted to its collapse. There is a seed, right? And the one that has a DNA in it that forms complex organs that makes a flower bloom. That DNA is the will, here I'm talking, the motivation. But these kind of things means that the motive, the DNA, is not included in the seed. That is why there are no successors. You know what I mean? And it's quite important. So having a positive natural motive proves in many ways that there is life. And thank you for your patience. Here comes Jonny Depp finally. Now let's move on to Jonny Depp here, because there are marriage proofs that the very motive is in question. Please look at this This is the day they got married. What do you think? This means this is called the Sankei and it represents the 3 worst signs of the animal zodiac. The point of this wedding date is that it is a day when the 3 signs of the animal zodiac of all 12 animals which should not be aligned are aligned. The probability of these 3 zodiac signs coming together is very low, isn't it? But they are getting married exactly on the very worst day. It all comes out here. It would be very ungrateful for them to get married on such a day. I don't know how to express in English Sankei, but this is a combination of ingratitude and revenge. So this is called return kindness with ingratitude. So this shows a motive of marrying someone with the intention of taking advantage of them. So the date of marriage proves that they don't truly love each other. Yeah, it clearly shows that love is not the motive. So what I'm trying to say is that it is not that getting married on such a day causes a worse situation, but that the symptoms of getting married on such a day and going crazy are visualized in 3 dimensions because there is a problem with the original motive. Jonny has the water minus in water as the heaven zodiac representing his soul. This means that he is not good at moving on his own initiative. The key to how he moves is this right side zodiac. His soul is the same as the right side yearly zodiac. This means that his soul equates his perspective with something or someone in society, and he moves when his heart resonates. It means that he makes the wood flow from the water. I found one very good example of this. In this way, he sees things from the same perspective as the child's point of view and resonates from the heart, and that energy moves him to express his feeling in a concrete 3-dimensional visible form, like trying to create some kind of work of art. That is to say, the energy of the wood becomes fire and earth to create the center energy, the Jonny Depp, as the world perceives him. In other words, the most important point to make this process work is to make a strong good energy by Hankai phenomenon with this sheep and the rabbit, and to make use of this wood energy, which is the important point to make this person's life a great success or to make the destiny work or not from the Yin and 5 element interpretation. This is a key point for great success. Also in his process, the energy that causes this Hankai phenomenon is in the year and the day. This means that it is the year and the day, not the month and the year, not the month and the day, but the year and the day. This means that it is significant that this energy is emerging in a way that surrounds life at large. This means that when life is at a standstill or in a predicament, the major point to get out of it is to harness this energy. In other words, it means that if he is in trouble right now because he doesn't have money, then this is the time to use this. It means to resonate with society and express it in his own way. I also would add that the energy that causes this Hankai is the energy that cannot be used by waiting. It is the energy that the person has to step on the gas pedal as hard as you can to break out of a situation. Therefore, if a person with this kind of energy is waiting for someone else to make a move, or if waiting for someone else to make an offer, then this energy will not operate. I mean, it's dead. It's an energy like diving from the top of Everest by yourself, not moving on someone else's cue. And I think it can also tell that with the geographic movement as well, it means that it is not a gradual energy like moving to the next town at a few tens of kilometers per hour. It is a big energy like moving from Earth to Mars in a jet plane. Conversely, I'm saying that to do that or not to do that is the difference between getting this destiny up and running. This means that at a turning point in life, this person will encounter a situation that require a great deal of determination, decision-making, and hard work, like jumping off Mount Everest, So if the person don't do it at the right time, then she will be greatly off from the course, from the destiny. For example, if I ask a question to a person with this kind of prophecy, have you ever made a big decision like jumping off from Mount Everest in life? And he or she answers, no. It means that he or she has gone off the rails completely. Because this energy is not an event that is easily forgotten, as in, I cannot remember what I had for dinner last night. It means that this is not an event that cannot be forgotten so easily. It means that one big decision, that one action that changes your life forever, that kind of great important decision of live or die awaits this person, There is no way that soul can forget it since the day you're born. Even before you are born. That's why it is written here. As a reminder, when the time comes, the person absolutely do what he has to do. It's very kind guide from universe. And when she with this kind of prophecy turning around 40 or 50 years old, if say like nothing in particular has ever happened to me, that's over for this person, isn't it? The reason why I'm telling you this is because I have seen many people like this in my life. I wanted to tell you that there are many more people who have turned in negative shift by their own wrong choice, and that is a reality. In other words, fate has gone very far astray. The cause of these situations occurs when person make a choice of justification at the life's turning point, or to protect his ego and pride, not a hard choice to let himself grow up. In other words, compromise. I don't know how to say exactly in English, sorry. But I'm sure you're smart, so you can feel it. After the choice, she will have a painful life until they die. A lot of ridiculous, crazy people or situation getting his way and getting involved and they die miserably. In Johnny Depp's case, he was able to become the Johnny Depp of the world because he, made use of this energy very well. He became an extraordinary celebrity, didn't he? The energy created by these three zodiac signs is considerable because two of them can do such, greatness. In his case, this Hankai phenomenon is what makes expression so much so that for him, expression means a life-changing experience. So it is of tremendous importance to understand this. Well, let's now look at the Amber Heard's prophecy. Look at this strange coincidence. If you watched the last video, you remember it indeed, right? Amber Heard's year and day signs are Nacchin. Okay, Hinoe for heavenly zodiac and tiger monkey for earthly repulsive. You see, here it comes. How many times has this happened? Tiger and monkey. Enough. Apparently, after all, this year 2022 is a year in which these tiger and monkey will be very active. Amber, Ukraine also proves firsthand that the people, organizations, and countries that have deviated from their destiny will experience great destructive phenomena. There is only one energy of a partner in her prophecy, so that would mean Johnny Depp, because that partner is also shown as an unusual person. So this means that there is no marriage connection at all except with this unusual person. It means that she will never be able to get married again. Moreover, since her life turned to yin, this means Nacchin energy turned to yin. So she will end up like Carlos Ghosn after the divorce. Sorry. It means that her life will change 180 degrees from her glamorous life because she chose what I keep saying from the beginning of the video. That's the turning point of her life. I'm sure she thinks she will be able to go back to her fabulous, gorgeous life once things cool down. But once Nacchin energy in the prophecy is in the shade, there is no going back. It is the same for Ukraine. What the universe is insisting to her through her prophecy is that She should be thankful that Jonny just married her. The universe says, look, he took someone like you to be his wife. You should say thanks. I guess that's a nuance of it. So she's not feeling grateful for this marriage in the first place. And this is one of the big problems, and that's why they got married on the day of Sankei energy. As I said in my previous video, people who have too high self-esteem, that is, people who have neglected the effort to acquire the ability, knowledge, experience, and wisdom to expand the cake on their own, and whose self-esteem is excessive, will have a major negative turn of fate like this. In Amber's case, there is an energy of repulsion that largely surrounds this process. This means that at a major critical point in her life, she would have to choose a completely different environmental situation where what she has done up to now would not work, and her life would be up and running. But in her case, because she has deviated from the in-transition phenomenon or destiny, she is now in a situation where she is trying to move on to the next phase of her life by creating a situation in which she destroys her surroundings by using this repulsive energy. And what Jonny is doing now is more and more deviating from his destiny, and his life is disintegrating because of the ideas that come from this in-transformation of Amber's policy. Come to think of it, there is a famous Japanese singer who has fallen into a huge debt of about 3.5 billion yen. But he answered to the interview at the time what his wife and other people around him said to him. 3.5 billion yen is nothing to you. And affected by the opinions, he really thought, what? Really? Well, then I'll be fine. I'm sure I can pay back the money. In fact, he was not okay at all. And his wife was in such a difficult situation that she wanted to die, He actually repaid his 3.5 billion yen debt in 15 years. In 15 years. By his own effort. And even so, he's leading a life blessed with ample wealth compared to the average person. I heard that his assets are several tens of billions of yen. So marriage, therefore, is a relationship that is influenced by the other person's thought process and results in an increase in fortune without intention, which is a good marriage. However, relationships that is influenced by the other person's thought process and results in a decrease in luck, like Amber and Jonny, even if unintended, it's a really bad marriage. So this is where the difference between a bad marriage and a good marriage comes in. A bad marriage is a big departure from destiny. By staying together, a person's ideas really do reveal themselves. She's putting human feces on the bed. Wow. Wow. That's great. But one more new definition has been born into the world. For example, I heard on the news that Macron was thrown a tomato by a citizen at his first interaction with the public after his re-election as president. When I heard about it, I thought it was a big ripe tomato like the ones used in the tomato festival in Spain. But in fact, they threw pretty tomatoes and attacked Macron threateningly. I don't know if this person is expressing angry or congratulating him. It's like a rice shower. Therefore, DV is also an idea of this prophecy, her prophecy. No, it is obvious. I'm sorry, but I feel it's very ridiculous. Really ridiculous to fight in the court and prove it. Now, there are some ideas and characteristics which coming from the prophecy. It's crystal clear. There is no way that good fortune can come under the influence of such a thought process. By the way, when I saw them, I felt, isn't this the movie itself? Have you seen this movie? The role he played in the film is exactly about Jonny and Amber's relationship. If you haven't seen it yet, please watch it. I do love this movie. I strongly recommend it. I kind of think he should just laugh at the whole thing and then make a comedy movie about it. I end their story here with one last important story. Because Amber Heard really reminds me of my dead cat. His name was Cookie. He was placed in 3 homes before he met my family. But all 3 places turned down him afterward. Everyone said the same thing. I can't live with this kind of a cat. He was known as the cat that always came back to the city health center afterward because nobody wanted him. One day, the very day before he was to be killed in the city health center, my mother found out about this cat and took him in. There are 3 cats at the time, including him in our house, and 1 dog. One day, Cookie did something that annoyed my mother and she scolded him severely. And what do you think Cookie did after that? What a surprise. Cookie took a crap on my mother's most favorite planted tree. I wish I knew his birthday. More interesting stories could be presented here. From my mother's point of view, she had no more doubts. She was 100% sure that the other 2 cats would never do this kind of mean thing. I mean, the other 2 cats don't have that thought process to begin with, you know? So, of course, my mom was so outraged, like, So Amber Heard is already at the same level as my cat Cookie. I can't talk to her about anything. What should I tell her? But I would like to mention a word in honor of Cookie. He was not a scumbag at heart. He fell into a coma on New Year's Eve, December 31st, 2019. It was New Year Eve and all the veterinary clinics were closed. However, the last place we called was a veterinarian who specialized in pigs. While surprised, this vet treated Cookie for free of charge, coming all the way to our house and on the New Year Eve. This vet didn't take money from us for his treatment. Indeed, he was the cat that crapped on my mother's plants. However, he proved to be virtuous exactly in his last days. I think that what kind of person that person really is something that can be proven naturally without trying to prove it in court. If you are a friend of Johnny Depp, please encourage him to watch this video. This is what I really want to convey.